Hi, I'm Daria McCracken, an instructional coach for Yelm Community Schools, and I will be walking you through the K-2 curriculum components of CKLA. CKLA teaches reading, writing, listening, and speaking, while also building students' vocabulary and knowledge across essential domains in literature, world and American history, and the sciences. The underlying philosophy is that effective ELA instruction revolves around four foundational principles. First, explicit instruction in phonics is necessary for automatic decoding. To create fluent readers, instruction teaches children to read words automatically. Extensive practice with the spelling patterns of the English language helps students build automaticity. These patterns are called the code. By the end of second grade, all sound spelling patterns will have been taught. Second, background knowledge is essential to strong reading comprehension. The ability to be a critical and strategic reader depends on having a wide breadth of knowledge and related vocabulary. Comprehension isn't a transferable skill that can be applied equally to any text. While reading comprehension strategies are often helpful, the less the reader knows about the topic at hand, the less he or she will grasp. Building background knowledge creates stronger comprehension. Third, vocabulary learning is most efficient when it is contextualized, content-based, and constant. There is nothing wrong with studying vocabulary lists, but the sheer number of words that children know demonstrates that most vocabulary is learned in context, by hearing a word many times and having many contexts in which to guess at and infer meanings. Fourth, oral language development is important. Reading and writing are not the only parts of language arts. Listening and speaking are important skills to develop too. It is not until the end of middle school that students' reading comprehension is typically as strong as their listening comprehension. There is a benefit to hearing complex texts read aloud. In CKLA, teacher read-alouds are frequent, particularly in the primary grades. These four principles are the foundation of our CKLA curriculum and are visible throughout the kindergarten through second grade lessons. In the primary grades, the CKLA curriculum consists of two separate daily lessons titled Skills and Domain. Skills is a time where students develop their own reading ability by learning how to decode text. They are taught through phonics activities where they are exposed to the code. Student readers contain accessible text that students should be either able to decode or words they've already learned to promote fluency and accessibility. Students are taught word patterns in order to strengthen their decoding skills. In kindergarten, they also learn basic pencil grip and writing strokes to promote handwriting development. In first and second grade, they are introduced to basic grammar rules. Domain is a separate reading time that consists of a teacher read-aloud with content-specific vocabulary taught in the context of the story. Students gain background knowledge in a variety of historical and scientific topics. Class discussions are key to developing speaking and listening skills. So what does it look like in kindergarten through second grade? In skills, students build reading fluency by interacting with the text. It begins with simple phrases in kindergarten supported by illustrations. By the end of the kindergarten year, students are reading many words, both sight words and words that can be sounded out. The text offers a visual scaffold of new words that might be tricky by underlining the tricky part. Also, bolded text can indicate a new sound in use, such as the CH saying ch in the word chop. By the end of second grade, you can see that students have been taught the phonics skills necessary to decode more complex text. This is an example of a second grade reader. You can see that the font gets smaller, the scaffolds disappear, and the sentences become more complex. Students learn basic and advanced code. Kindergartners are introduced to the basic sounds that letters make prior to learning the names of the letters. This sound-first approach allows students to begin reading with the least amount of extraneous information. As children age, they learn the advanced code, that the sound S can be spelled with an S double S, C, CE, or SE, or that the double O spelling can make either the oo sound as in soon or the sound as in look. Students engage in a variety of activities to solidify their phonics instruction, including worksheets, games, spelling lists, and more. One activity called chaining is pictured here. Students move letter cards to make new words and see the connection that changing one sound at a time can make when making a new word. Domain is a separate lesson that focuses primarily on building knowledge capabilities. Students, kindergarten through second grade, listen to their teacher read aloud the daily story while viewing images that are related. Then the students engage in activities to strengthen comprehension, teach vocabulary, and add to their background knowledge. Students engage in class conversations following each story and may be asked to complete an activity page that reinforces comprehension. When students struggle academically, our tendency is to want to rescue them from their challenge. However, when we do this, we also take them out of the mode of learning and do the learning for them. If a student is reading a text and gets stuck on a word, rather than giving it to them, ask them questions, such as, "What sounds do you see?" Have the student identify each sound in the word. If students are still learning their sounds, consider flashcards where they are repeatedly exposed to the sound that the picture of the letter makes. You could also ask a student, what part of the word is tricky? If there are letters that are confusing, can students identify which part they are stuck on? For example, do they remember that the WH makes the W sound in the word which? If you remind them of that, could they figure out the word? Ask students, can you put the sounds together slowly? Smoothly blending of which makes it easier for students to determine the new word rather than choppy blending of ch. If a student is stumbling to read a text, the strategy of rereading can prove effective. Have students reread the tricky parts for fluency. Rereading the same story again right after, later that day, or on a subsequent day can increase fluency and comprehension. If students consistently struggle with the same sight words, you could consider making flashcards for repetition. In grades K through second grade, CKLA components that you might look for is a student's Google Classroom, where you will need their username and password, or they will need to know it to access their Google Classroom, where their classroom assignments will be posted. You may see activity pages, either paper or in digital form, that are assigned to students. Students may have a reader. Beginning in the middle of kindergarten, readers are a part of the curriculum each day, and student readers might be, again, in paper form or digital. Students will be assigned asynchronous videos or instructional videos that are pre-recorded by their teacher for them to watch. Chaining folders might be provided, particularly in kindergarten, where students can build words. A code chart might be provided for students, particularly in first grade or second grade, where students will be reminded of the multiple sounds that letters can make. Domain story videos will be available most likely for your students to watch the story before engaging in conversation or activities about the domain story. And Amplify Reading, the online reading platform that supports CKLA instruction, will be another tool for students to use. Again, you will need to have the student's username and password. When in doubt, reach out. The child that you are caring for has a teacher who wants to see them succeed, and we want to see them succeed. Have students view instructional videos for a second time from their Google Classroom if they are stuck. Connect with the child's teacher through the parent to find out what instructional scaffolds you could put in place that would be useful for students. Students may have access also to support sessions on Zoom for academic intervention. Access these when possible. Thank you for all that you are doing to support the learning of our students. These foundational years are critical in developing a solid understanding of reading, and we are delighted to be able to partner with you so that we can help our students learn together.